Peace, family. This is your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to a special edition of Night School. Every night here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we provide content for you. And on Monday and Wednesday, we provide Night School, where we break down the most controversial subjects, the most engaging debates, the most interesting subjects going on in the world today. Last night, we were unable to do Night School because I was in Mississippi, the great city of Jackson, Mississippi. I was at Tougaloo College, the storied HBCU, where I spent the day talking with students, working with community. I did a public lecture at the chapel. I did a student conversation on colonialism and in the liberal state, and I mean that was a couple of hours. We did a podcast. It was a full day, and it was all organized and sponsored by Mississippi for a Just World, which is a fabulous and righteous organization out in Mississippi. And shout out to also a former mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, who was there from start to finish, supporting, organizing, even picked me up from the airport and took me back at 4 a.m. That's what you call brotherhood and a little phi nu pie. Um, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the people of Mississippi, and I'm grateful to have some words of reflection, solidarity, support, insight for my brothers and sisters who are in that struggle there and who are connected to a global struggle, which is one of the themes of the evening. It was just dope. That's all I can say. It was just a dope event, and because of that, and because it ended late and on Central Time, we couldn't do night school last night. But I didn't want the stories. I didn't want the information to go unseen or unheard. So that's why we're here in the daytime doing this thing. Let's get started, y'all. Let's get started. The first story is an international story that I want to talk to you all about. In the city of Fashir, a place already starved and besieged, another light has gone out. Siham Hassan, a former member of Sudan's parliament and one of the most beloved humanitarians in North Darfur, was reportedly executed by the Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF, this week. She stayed in Fashir although the bombs were falling. She ran a community kitchen that fed thousands of displaced and hungry families. And for many, she was seen as an almost last sign of hope, the last piece of evidence that compassion still existed amid all the ruins. Maryam Tayyib, a nurse who worked beside her, said she fed the hungry when no one else could. She was fearless and selfless. Now, Hassan's killing marks not just an awful moment for the community, and it's not just the death of a hero. It also speaks to a new and really chilling phase in the RSF's assault on the city, the final stronghold of Sudan's army in Darfur. Now, the RSF, which was born out of the Janjaweed militias that are responsible for the genocide in Darfur, now controls most of the region. They claim to have captured the Sudanese Armed Forces 6th Infantry Division base, which has effectively ended organized military resistance. This is a major moment. Now, what remains in Al-Fashir isn't a battlefield. What we see now isn't an armed struggle or a war. What we see right now is a massacre. Reports describe drone strikes on homes. We see looting, we see executions, and of course, we see forced displacement in the region as well. More than 300,000 civilians are trapped with no food, no medicine, and frankly, no safe way out. The Darfur Bar Association has demanded international intervention. The UN Special Envoy, Volker Perthes, warned that Al-Fashir is on the brink of total collapse. Yet, as with so many other Black lives caught in imperial wars, the world continues to just look the other way. Hassan's death is a reminder that the violence in Sudan is not random. It's systemic. It's rooted in decades of militarization, foreign arms deals, and global indifference. From Gaza to Al-Fashir, abolitionists say the same truth holds. No state can bomb its way to peace. Justice for Siham Hassan means dismantling the machinery that made her murder possible, dismantling a system that treats African lives as disposable and treats war as inevitable. Her name should be remembered not only in mourning, but in struggle. Eli Hamha. May she rest in peace. Let me know your thoughts on this as we talk about Sudan, particularly at a moment where Sudan is not talked about. It's important to raise uh, the name up. It's important to raise the voice up. Um, it's important to talk about Sudan, not instead of Gaza, but in addition to Gaza. Not instead of Haiti or Congo, but in addition to. We have to hold space for all of these things. That's one of the challenges of the current media. It's like we don't have the attention span or the bandwidth or the will to focus on Sudan or to highlight Sudan. And so we're going to continue to do it here on the channel. In fact, we're going to do a special office hours where we do a deep dive on Sudan, again, because it needs to be done. Another story, very important, is regarding Sean Grayson, the former Illinois deputy who was convicted of second-degree murder for killing Sonya Massey. Nearly a year after her killing shook the nation, Sonya Massey has finally received a measure of justice. Though, of course, it's a measure of justice. When someone dies, there's no way to restore. There's no way to bring them back. It's just a slice of justice. And her family has made that very clear. On Wednesday, a jury convicted former Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson of second-degree murder for the 2024 shooting of Massey. She was a Black mother of two who called 911 for help after hearing what she thought was a prowler at her home. Now, Grayson, who's white, shot Massey point blank in her own kitchen, moments after she said to him, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Now, the courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read after 12 hours, of deliberation. Outside, the protesters cheered and they chanted Massey's final words. It was like a prayer that turned into a rallying cry. But again, for her family, it wasn't enough. The words, in many ways, rang hollow. Sonya's cousin said, "If you get an officer who says he's going to shoot you in the face and then he shoots you in the face and you only get second-degree murder," he said, "I'm fueled by rage right now," which is understandable. Now, Grayson faces 4 to 20 years in prison, though he could serve as little as half of that with good behavior. Now, prosecutors, of course, wanted a first-degree murder conviction, which would have given him a lot more time. Massey's father said he hopes the judge at least gives the maximum, saying the cop, quote, "showed no remorse. He was so cocky throughout his whole trial, yet that knocked the smirk off," end quote. Now, there's body camera footage in this case, which was another important and interesting piece of information. And they showed it multiple times throughout the trial. They played it 3 times for the jury, and it showed Massey calmly following police orders before Grayson raised the gun. The prosecutors said, and I agree with them, that Massey showed and posed no threat. "I'm sorry," was the last thing Sonya said before the defendant murdered her. That's a quote from Assistant State's Attorney Mary Beth Rogers. I'm going to say it again. "I'm sorry," was the last thing Sonya said before the defendant murdered her. He wants you to believe he was scared, but it's not true. That's what the prosecutor said as well. Now, Grayson testified that he feared Massey might throw boiling water on him, a claim rejected by witnesses and his own partner. I'm being clear again. His own partner said Grayson wasn't scared, that he didn't think a pot of boiling water was going to be thrown at him, and that he was never actually afraid. We covered this story right here on Night School when it first happened. The facts haven't changed. The shooting ignited protests nationwide, and it renewed outrage over police violence in the homes of Black women in particular. We can think about Atiana Jefferson. We could think about Breonna Taylor. We could think about now Sonya Massey. And in Illinois, the case actually sparked some new legislation. It's called the Sonya Massey Act, which tightens police hiring standards, and it demands a psychological screening. But of course, that ain't enough. accountability in one trial, if you want to call it that, doesn't equate to justice. Because true justice would mean nobody should ever die at the hands of the police. When you call the police, they're there to help you. They're there to save you. They're there to protect you. That's the idea. But the problem is police are not trained at de-escalation. They're not skilled at conflict resolution. When you call the police, for many of us, it increases our chances of dying, not reduces it. There was a protest sign outside of the courtroom, and it said, Sonya called for protection and met the system that needs abolition. I think that sums it up for me. That sums it up for me. We need to be able to call a police force for help, or a safety force for help. It shouldn't be the police. We need to be able to call someone with a mental health issue. It shouldn't be the police. We need to call someone who's having a drug overdose. It shouldn't be the police. But because the only tool we have is a hammer, we use the hammer. The problem is when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you call the police, everything looks like an arrest. Everything looks like a shooting. Everything looks like an escalation far too often. And so we got work to do, y'all. Abolition now. Abolition now. Okay, family. Now, from the sublime to the ridiculous, or from the serious to the ridiculous, let's talk about it. Let's talk about y'all's man's Travis Greene. Travis Greene. Y'all know Travis Greene? This dude, man. I don't even like to give him too much attention, but I'm gonna pull something up for y'all. In the meantime, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're so inclined, hit the join button. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all being here in the daytime. Shout out to my brother over there, Ifeolu. Now, don't call him our mans. He's not ours anymore. When I said our, I didn't mean black, and I damn sure didn't mean Kappa. I meant like when people like, "That's your friend." That's how I meant it. You know what I'm saying? Because homeboy, you right, he ain't with us. He definitely ain't the Noops, but he ain't a whole lot of things, man. Anyway, let me pull this video up so that y'all can see what I'm talking about. All right, let's get to it, y'all. Let's get to it. All right, family, we're gonna talk about Travis Greene, gospel artist and pastor Travis Greene. He recently made some big news. He says he had to renounce his membership in Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated to restore what he called the presence of God in his life. Now, speaking before his congregation, Greene shared that God convicted him in his early 20s about spiritual pledges that he made during his fraternity days at Georgia Southern University. That's what he said. I'm just telling you what the man said. Don't judge me. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what this fool said. All right, here we go. I want you to watch this video and see for yourself, because you can't tell him he wasn't cooking.
So I'm not just throwing out aimless stuff. No, I lived this before, young people. Got arrested me in my early 20s. I did not know why I was so bound by pride and by perversion. And God said, Travis, it may be the pledges you made over your own life. And so I had to rebuke and reverse things I spoke over my own self. I'm too pretty to die. Says who? Saying all kind of crazy stuff. Oh, noble Kappa Alpha Psi, to thee I give my praise. And God's like, that sound right to you, Travis? It sound right for you to give your praise to anybody but me? Oh, if it's tight, listen, that means that the Holy Ghost is working on you. I had to do it, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't what I read about. It's what I had to live out.
Oof. Lord. Where do I start? All right. So there's so many things to say. Anyway, Greene said that renouncing Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated meant stepping away from all fraternity activities, including homecoming events, trips. He said he had to focus on what he would call a spiritual detox. He also warned that idolatry can take subtle modern forms, from careers to affiliations, things that distract believers from God. Now, there's been some reporting on this, and I'll talk about that, but his comments reignite a very familiar debate, usually among Christians, especially those affiliated with Black Greek letter organizations, about the lines between culture and brotherhood or sisterhood and faith. And I never fully understand what the hell these people be talking about. But you can't tell them that they not cooking when they say this foolishness. You can't tell them they not eating when they say these statements. Listen to him again.
If that means changing my friend group, I got to get the presence back. If it means taking a step back from this fraternity or sorority, I'm not scared of you. I got to do what I got to do to get the presence back. Listen, I'm qualified to talk about this. I was the pole of Kappa Alpha Psi at Georgia Southern University. So I'm not just throwing out aimless stuff. No, I lived this before, young people. Got arrested me in my early 20s. I did not know why I was so bound by pride and by perversion. And God said, Travis, it may be the pledges you made over your own life. And so I had to rebuke.
Maybe it was the pledges he made over his own life. Huh? Sounds heavy. Sounds good. But it's BS. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Oh, Lord, so many things to tell y'all. Let's start with the perversion. I'm going to speak for Kappa, but I'm really going to speak for all of these organizations. I'm going to speak for all of them. Why? Because they ain't that different in terms of what we finna talk about. They're not that different in terms of what we finna talk about. First thing. Kappa Alpha Psi was founded in 1911, January 5th, 1911, on the campus of Indiana University, Bloomington, Indiana, by 10 men who were attempting to organize around a set of principles, right? None of them were perverted. Culture, to unite college men of culture, patriotism, and honor in the bond of fraternity, if I remember correctly. To unite the spiritual, social, intellectual, and moral welfare of its members, right? I could go on and on, but those are the big ones, right? In terms of the principles that he's talking about. Over time, the organization obviously shifts, and you can't say that something is what it is because that's what the founders intended. But over time, as the organization grew, those principles and that commitment to achievement in every field of human endeavor still becomes the foundation of Kappa. Now, Kappa ain't perfect. Omega Psi Phi ain't perfect. Phi Beta Sigma ain't perfect, right? Alpha Phi Alpha damn sure ain't perfect. Iota Phi Theta, I don't even know what that is. These organizations aren't perfect, and there are critiques to be made. We could talk about hypermasculinity. We could talk about maybe homophobia. We could talk about people not being financial. We could talk about not doing enough community service. I mean, there are critiques we could have of our organizations internally. But for him to come up here and act like the foundation of this is antithetical to God and that it's perverted is wild. It's unfounded. And you notice he offered no insight or no evidence that that would be true. He said, well, I was the pole mark. I think he was trying to say the word pole mark. I was the pole mark at Georgia Southern. That means he was the president of his chapter. Cool. That doesn't mean you understood the principles. It doesn't mean that you understood what you were pledging. No person, and what they like to do is these religious folk, they like to take something that the public doesn't know because they're not members and shroud it in all this mystery so that you think that when people join the organization, they're secretly taking these blood oaths and they're secretly aligning themselves or pledging allegiance to something demonic. That does not happen. All the 10 founders of Kappa in particular were largely religious men, and they were involved in other religious organizations or movements. They were part of churches. They were part of like Edward Giles Irving. Was a Mason as well. They all talked about and dealt with faith. And how is it that all these major religious leaders, all these spiritual guides, all these well-studied scholars of religion and practitioners of religion don't see this demonic, perverted thing, but you somehow, Travis Greene, managed to just find it? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. But there's more. You then misrepresent Kappa by saying that we have to give all the praise to Kappa. Oh, noble Kappa, I give my praise to thee, is what you said. I'm going to tell you something. That ain't what you have to say as a Kappa. You made it up. You said, no, that's the hymn. No, that's not the hymn. Google the hymn of Kappa. It's O noble Kappa Alpha Psi, the pride of all our hearts. true manliness, fidelity. Come on, what are we talking about? The pride of all our hearts is not we give you all the praise. The actual words are the pride of all our hearts. We're proud of our fraternity is what it means. You said it says to you we give all the praise. You just made it up. Or you made a mistake and don't remember what it actually was. But if you don't remember what it actually was, then why the hell are you outraged by it? If you don't actually remember what it was, then why are you publicly criticizing? You have a duty and responsibility here to do something different. Travis, if you need to walk away from Greek life or Black Greek life for fraternities, I get it. There's a lot of wild shit that happens in fraternities and sororities. I get it. Don't do it. I ain't mad at you. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not here caping for the Black Greek letter organizations right now. That's actually not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is saying that you're misrepresenting the organizations. You're misrepresenting their principle. And even with the critiques, even with the faults and the blemishes that these organizations have, they still ain't got the things that you're talking about. But it becomes another way to redirect and misdirect people toward you. And this is what I see so often. The sister crossed Delta at Howard last year. And a day after she crossed, she wrote a letter denouncing it for her faith. That ain't a moral conversion. That ain't a transformation. That's clout chasing. All that information you found out about Delta that was bad for you, you found out the day after you crossed. What are we talking about? Another thing is, if you really are this convicted, just do it. Just do it. Why is it everybody that has to denounce, first of all, has to denounce, right? Just stop going. Just stop showing up. Speaking of not showing up, Travis Greene ain't been financials since undergrad. You weren't connected. You weren't that bound up in Kappa that you had to get away from it. You ain't paid $1 since you left. Your MOIP or MTA, I don't know how old you are. Your MOIP or MTA, whatever fees was the last time you paid anything. So stop it. Also, why is it everybody who seems to denounce does it as a public spectacle? Why can't y'all ever just write your little letter to your organization and say, hey, I don't want to be a member of this. It doesn't fit my beliefs anymore. Thank you. Be out. Now, you might say, well, Mark, you don't know that they don't. Maybe you only focus on the public ones and the private ones are happening too. They're not. Trust me. You know, don't trust me. Ask the leaders of your organizations. Check with the executive directors and officers of these organizations. So I don't want you to think I'm just making this up. Check for yourself. I'm telling you, everybody who denounces damn near does it as a public spectacle. And increasingly, they do it on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and they get a whole bunch of likes and they tell their stories and they make their money off of it. It's dishonest. I don't know Travis Greene very well, but I do know he's following an example and following a tradition and following a path of people who exploit these organizations and their popularity to get their own popularity, or to build for Travis Greene, who's already popular, to build on their popularity. We got to knock it off. Again, have all the critiques you want of Black Greek letter organizations. I ain't mad at that. I got some myself. But stop with the nonsense. Stop with the nonsense. All right, y'all. That's all I had to say for the day, man. Thank you for watching Night School. This is your brother, Marc Lamont Hill, as always, engaging in conversation with you, loving you. We're going to head right over right now to Patreon, where I'm going to have extended hours of Night School right here on the channel. So I'll go live in a few minutes and let y'all know. But in the meantime, join me on Patreon as a member by going to patreon.com/Marc Lamont Hill. You can also, my wife is being ridiculous in the background. You can also, why are you like this? You go over there. Also, this is why ain't nobody following me, see?
Sorry, y'all.
Also, you can go click that QR code right over here. And you can join. So either go to patreon.com/Marc Lamont Hill official or click that QR code up there and join us over at Patreon. And the reason why we do that is because Night School, we do weekly, a couple times a week for free. The content we post is for free, but we don't, but we don't do, I'm sorry, my wife is distracting me. I'm actually on a live podcast. night school, office hours, all the projects we do, we've been offering for free, and that's fine. We love to do public education. We'll continue to do night school with no charge to the audience. No one should have to pay for education. But what we do ask is that you support the Patreon so that we can have the resources and the funding we need to make this engine go. We have staff. We have studio fees. We have equipment fees. We have editing fees. We have all of these things that we need in order to build up the channel. And so I'm asking you all to support me on Patreon, join the Patreon, so that we can have the financial stability we need to continue to do this. And it's not just so that I can pay the bills, although I think that's important because, again, I don't make $1 off of night school right now, but also so that I can remain disconnected from corporate media, so I don't have to be beholden to mainstream media interests. I want to be able to be or remain unbought and unbossed. I'm gonna do that regardless, but it's much easier to do with your help and with your support. But on top of that, we don't expect you to just sign up for Patreon just cause, although I'd love for you to. You can also sign up for Patreon and get a bunch of rewards. There's different tiers, and each tier provides its own string of rewards, but it includes early content, extended content, and extra content. It includes office hours, which is now over on Patreon, where we do intellectual deep dives on topics. It's interviews, classic interviews and new interviews, classic debates and current debates, extended commentary on the Joe Budden from the Joe Budden podcast, meaning after I leave the Joe Budden podcast, I got more to say. Sometimes y'all want me to have said more. Y'all want to know what I think about something, but we ran out of time. We do it right here on the Patreon. The same thing happens for Piers Morgan, where I regularly appear, and any other platform where I regularly appear. Please don't forget to check those platforms out as well. There's also deep dives on topics that are in the news that I don't cover on the other platforms for whatever reason. So there's a lot of content. There's a lot of opportunity. All I ask, family, is that you support the Patreon by going to patreon.com/Marc Lamont Hill official, or click that link right up there on the screen. And let's get to it, man. I'll see y'all over on Patreon in just a second. Peace.